Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is a sequel to Puyo Puyo Tetris, which released on the Switch back in 2017. It's a puzzle game that brings two of the most famous series in the puzzle genre together, fusing their unique styles to present a new level of challenge. Should the decision to pick this one up be a Tetrummy yes or a Tetrummy no? I'm Glen Bolger, thank you to Sega for the review code, and now let's find out. Looking at the two games then, Tetris of course sees you attempting to clear lines of blocks by rotating a number of different shaped tetrominos, or tetriminos as they are called by the Tetris company, that fall from the top of the screen and placing them onto the play surface in such a way that fills any gaps. Clearing more than one line at a time earns you more points, and clearing 4 lines at once, called a Tetris, will grant you an even bigger bonus. Puyo Puyo is slightly different in that you are trying to match 4 or more Puyos of the same colour in order to remove them from the playing field, again by manoeuvring falling Puyos into place and setting up opportunities for more than one set of Puyos to clear in one go is how you will really start to build a good score. When playing against an opponent, any combos like this will send garbage to your opponent's screen in both games, and getting to the top of the screen will see a game over. Whilst you can play both games in their classic endless modes, it's not just a case of having two games on a cartridge, as they are blended together in a number of game modes playable in single player, local multiplayer or online. First off, there is the adventure mode. This is a story mode that tells a tale of the worlds of Puyo Puyo and Tetris colliding, and follows the characters that are attempting to stop this happening. It does this via a series of static but voice acted cutscenes which introduce a host of characters who must work together to make this happen. Characters will battle each other, and this is where you step in, being given a task to complete on either a Puyo Puyo or Tetris board, earning yourself up to 3 stars for meeting certain objectives as you go. There are a lot of these challenges or missions to complete, so it will last you a while. Aside from this, you have Versus, Skill Battle, Swap, Party, Fusion and Big Bang, which can all be played in either single or multiplayer modes. Versus sees you and your opponent each choosing whether to play Tetris or Puyo Puyo. You can choose a different one each and then go head to head. Skill Battle is new for this sequel and has you selecting a team and then again going head to head against your friend or with the computer. Each team member you pick has a skill which can be used, provided you have enough MP, by pressing the appropriate button for each member's skill. Characters' skills can be leveled up by doing well with those characters in the adventure mode, and you will also earn cards in adventure mode that can boost your abilities further in skill battle. Swap has you playing a game of Tetris and Puyo Puyo at once, swapping between them at set intervals. This was one of the most interesting modes for me, as you may be on the verge of victory in one game but may be losing in the other, making it very tense whenever it does swap over. Party mode throws items into the mix, with them being placed on the playing field and activated by building a line around them. These could temporarily limit the vision of your opponent or disable the ability to rotate pieces for a while, to name but a couple. Fusion mode has both Tetris and Puyo Puyo pieces falling into the same game board, making game management even more difficult as you try not to block yourself off from getting high scores by putting the wrong pieces down. And finally, Big Bang has you attempting to clear preset boards of blocks as fast as you can, attempting to defeat your opponent in the process. Local multiplayer modes can be played split screen on one Switch or via local wireless modes for up to 4 players. As well as this, there is a very comprehensive online mode. It includes ranked puzzle leagues for Tetris, Puyo Puyo or both together, as well as free play modes where you can play unranked versions of all of the modes included in the single player game, as well as being able to match up with friends. I found matches straight away and the whole thing was very quick and easy to use. A huge plus to the package for sure. There is also a challenge mode which is exclusive to single player, plus as I said at the beginning, you can choose endless modes of either Tetris or Puyo Puyo, and for all the extra bells and whistles, Tetris endless mode is where the vast majority of my playtime went. Control wise, things are nice and simple, with A and B used to rotate pieces left and right, and the D-pad used to position them where you want them. My only real gripe with this may be more down to the D-pad on the Pro controller than the game, but it does feel like it's a bit too easy to accidentally activate the fast drop move in Tetris by pressing up on the D-pad and ruin the initiative you may have had. A few times this happened when my finger was nowhere really near the up button, and it just feels a little too sensitive. Both games have a classic pick up and play quality that makes them fun to play at a casual level, but they also have an incredible layer of depth that means expert players can take things to a whole new level. On top of this, the ability to fuse the two games together does add a new strategic element and is also potentially a very good leveler when played in multiplayer. For example, I'm a fairly decent Tetris player but find Puyo Puyo very difficult. My wife is the complete opposite. So fusing the two means it's one of the most competitive and closely thought multiplayer experiences we have found on the Switch so far. The amount of fun garnered from each mode will differ from person to person. Personally, I liked the swap and party modes a fair bit, but don't see me returning to Big Bang or even the new skill battle mode very often. Even the adventure mode, as comprehensive as it is, just had too much talking for me, with the attempts at humour not really hitting the mark. My other issue with the game is that apart from skill battle, every one of the other modes was in the first game. To be fair, its relationship with adventure mode is a good improvement, and online does seem to have had a bit of a revamp too, but if you do own that first game, there is very little incentive to pick this new one up. If you don't own it, then obviously this new one does everything that did and a bit more, but it's just something to be aware of. Gameplay is good, as you would expect when two classic franchises are put together, and whilst I enjoyed some of the modes more than others, there'll be something for everyone, and it scores 18 out of 20. Controls keep things nice and simple, but were perhaps a little oversensitive at times, and also score 18 out of 20. In terms of the visuals, much like its predecessor, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 uses a very clean hand-drawn aesthetic. Menus are well presented, and the matches themselves use colour to its fullest to ensure that everything pops from the screen. There are a number of cosmetic options available to you in terms of the look of the Tetraminos or the Puyo Puyo, and a host of characters to choose from as well. I especially liked the hand-painted look to some of the backgrounds, and whilst it's fair to say everything is played quite safe, it looks pleasant and allows you to concentrate on the action. Audio wise, there are a number of different tracks featured, and as with the backgrounds, you can choose specific ones to play to from the options menu. It includes a variation of the classic Tetris theme, which was nice to hear, and overall the music was upbeat, although perhaps a little overbearing at times. The same can be said of the voice acting, especially the lines that are spouted as you play a versus mode. Things such as the names of the special moves or just basic commands are being said by the characters, but in all honesty, the lines become incredibly repetitive. Visuals, while simple, do the job very well, and everything is kept nice and clean, and they score 15 out of 20. Audio is incredibly upbeat and does fit the graphics very well, but it does have the potential to be quite tedious and repetitive as you go on, but on the whole it scores 14 out of 20. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 costs £34.99, $39 or Euros 99 or $54 Australian dollars 95. It will take up 1.2 GB of your system storage. In terms of content, you are getting quite a lot for your money. You have the two classic versions of each game, as well as a host of game modes, as I mentioned, that do a good job of blending the two together. It's a game that in my opinion is just as much fun in single player as in multiplayer, but if you are looking for multiplayer, you of course have the local option or a very good online service. I will just say again though that if you do own the first game, unless you are a huge fan of either series and simply must own this, it doesn't offer enough for me to justify purchasing at full price. That's not a knock against the game, that's just a result of releasing a sequel only 2 or 3 years after the first one, on the Switch at least, in a series that can't really evolve much from one iteration to the next. The gameplay is so fantastically addictive and rewarding though that puzzle fans could spend many hours playing, and on balance, value scores 15 out of 20. To conclude, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 improves on the original game, and if you do not own that one, this new one has pretty much made it redundant. The classic endless modes of both games are timeless, and the modes that blend the two are varied enough to the point where everyone will find a favourite. Owners of the original game though may want to think about whether the few new additions are worth another outlay, and personally in this instance I would be waiting for it to drop in price. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 gets a SwitchUp score of 80%. Thank you everybody for watching this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, stay safe of course, and until next time, happy gaming.